What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today, the Patriots moved to 500 on the year, defeating the Carolina Panthers in dominant fashion. 42-13 your final score, so let's get right into this breakdown. So taking a look at the offensive recap here, you might take a look at the stats and really think that the Patriots offense struggled on the day. However, they just weren't on the field that often, with their time of possession only being on the field for around 25 minutes in this game. But they were just that efficient and that explosive when given the chance on the field. And thanks to some very favorable fields due to some special teams play by Marcus Jones and the coverage team, they were able to be extremely efficient and ended up scoring 42 points on the day, which has probably been the most that the Patriots have scored in the past 5 years. I think the only one that really comes to mind is when they put up 50 against Jacksonville in Mac Jones' rookie year. But just a very good, efficient day from the offense here. Offensive line, I thought, really dominated this game in terms of pass protection. Only allowed one sack, and I believe that one sack was a little bit of a takeoff by Drake May, and he only got back to the line of scrimmage. So a very efficient day by the offensive line in terms of pass protection in the run game. And there was a little bit of a switch up front due to the fact that Jared Wilson was dealing with an injury. So Ben Brown, your backup center, actually moved up to starting left guard there. And the line went Will Campbell, Ben Brown, Garrett Bradbury, Mike Onwenu, and Morgan Moses. Your usual four outside of Jared Wilson there. But the offensive line played really well. Not that the Panthers have an absolute terrifying front, and they do have some injuries on that side of the ball as well. So just doing what you have to do on the offensive side, and I thought that the offensive line played extremely well in this game. And that led to Drake May playing a very, very good game today. Extremely efficient, really had no kind of turnover-worthy plays, which was something that had to be preached after last week. And you could really see that in today's game plan. You saw how the backs were kind of finishing two hands on the football at all times, especially with Ramondre Stevenson. It looked like there was an emphasis on that by him today. They probably got on him in practice a lot. And even from Drake May, there really wasn't any risky throws or any type of situation where he was putting his body in harm's way. And that really led to how efficient he was. Only had 17 pass attempts on the day, but I think that was more so, of course, just due to the fact that the Patriots were really blowing out the Panthers ever since that first quarter. He went 14 of 17 for 203 yards with a 14.5 average. Of course, he had two passing touchdowns, one to Hunter Henry and one to Mac Hollins, and also was able to run one in as well. And a notable theme in this game, I would say, is the continued usage of the bootlegs. And that's really been a theme for this entire season in terms of the offensive play calling from Josh McDaniels. Because on those type of plays, it really just highlights everything that makes Drake May as explosive as he is, whether he can take off and scramble, get outside the pocket and stuff like that, or throw on the run. It's just an easy play to get him into a rhythm too. Either you're scrambling or you're hitting someone on the back end of that defense. And it really just shows with how efficient they've been in those plays this season. And of course, they were able to strike big on another one to Hunter Henry on kind of a little bit of a play action slide bootleg. And just a really poor job of tackling by Carolina. I wouldn't even necessarily say that it was the Patriots' great execution on that game. They did what they had to do for that play, got several yardage, but just the yards after the catch by poor tackling from Carolina allowed for a 30-yard touchdown on a bootleg play. That's just inexcusable from Carolina's standpoint. But as I was saying, efficient offense on the day. Stephon Diggs was certainly getting involved in the game plan, whether it was outside or in the slot. He was just making big-time plays, a couple of choice routes across the middle of the field, had some deep crossing routes in the middle of the field versus some zone coverage, and Drake May was able to hit Stephon Diggs. And, of course, that huge fourth down conversion really wasn't that big at any point in the game, but just to see the chemistry between those two develop on the back shoulder throw on that go route on that 4th and 3, I believe it was, to really put the game away. It just shows that the chemistry between these two are developing, and that's such a huge point that this offense, I'm sure, needs to hit on, because if they can get Stephon Diggs somewhat to where he was in some points in Buffalo, that's going to be massive, because he really is a game changer and he can take over games with just how effective his route running is. So a really nice job by Josh McDaniels getting him involved early in this game and really highlighting him in this game plan. Of course, he came down with 6 receptions on 7 targets for 101 yards, I believe, in total. Yep, for a 16.8 average. So that is very encouraging. Stephon Diggs gets his first 100-yard game as a Patriot. Of course, this is the second time this has happened thus far for a Patriots receiver this season. Kayshon Boutte, of course, in week 1 versus Vegas. So it's good to see that the receivers are making some plays, and especially getting Stephon Diggs highlighted here because of how versatile he is, can open up more avenues for this offense. And speaking of opening up more avenues for this offense, the backs really highlighted this game just because it showed how versatile each one of those guys are. And in terms of the stats, it's not going to necessarily jump off the page. I don't believe that actually any of them were above 40 yards in general, and I don't think that either of them or any of them had 10 plus carries. However, just the versatility was on display with each of the backs, particularly with Antonio Gibson and Travion Henderson, where they were just lining up. You had both those guys lining up out wide at times, even in the slot. And the Patriots hit on some big rushes, whether it was an end around from Travion Henderson starting out wide and then the slot, and of course a jet sweep to Antonio Gibson. I believe they both had 10-plus yard runs of lining up in different formations outside of the backfield. So it's very interesting to see how Josh McDaniels is going to continue to feature these backs in terms of having them in different alignments, especially having them outside of the backfield as well. And speaking of the backs, Travion Henderson actually scored his first rushing touchdown of his career. So that's a nice little snippet to add into this game as well. And just taking a look at the offense in general, tight ends once again had another successful day. They only had 3 catches on 3 targets, but like I said before, there wasn't much pass attempts through the air in this game. The Patriots really had it dominated and didn't have that much time on the field in general, but they came in with 3 receptions for a total of around 56 yards between the two of them. And of course, Hunter Henry was able to score his 3rd touchdown of the season. But like again, what I said earlier, Josh McDaniels just doing a really nice job in terms of play calling, getting different guys involved, spreading out the love, stuff like that. And Austin Hooper actually had himself a screen pass, tight end screen pass that actually went for 20 yards to kind of get this offense jump started there. So that's a very encouraging sign, just incorporating some different concepts into this offense. And like I said before, when this Patriots team is at their best, it's when they have a balanced attack and they're just winning on early downs and not putting themselves in deep position to get off the field. So just like I said before, good ball control offense. Nice job by the offense not allowing the Panthers defense to make a play to get them back in the game, and just being extremely efficient on early downs and just playing very good complementary football. Even though they didn't have themselves a huge stat game, they really did a nice job of taking what the defense gave them in terms of special teams and stuff like that and taking advantage of some short fields. So hopefully that's an encouraging sign that this team continues to play good complementary football. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, you know it's going to be a good day when your starting defense only allows 1 touchdown drive, and after that pretty much blankets the Panthers for the rest of the game. Of course, the Panthers scoring that 2nd touchdown against the second-team defense there in garbage time, really. But like I said before, Patriots defense dominant on the day outside of that opening drive, and you can really just see the dysfunction on Carolina's offense, and they really just do not have a ton of playmakers. Very similar to how the Patriots offenses have been in past seasons here. And outside of Ted McMillan, even the broadcast really alluded to it, the Panthers just have no one that can really beat anyone in terms of man coverage or zone coverage outside of Ted McMillan in the receiving game. And really the only success that the Panthers really had on the day from their offense was when Chuba Hubbard was in the game from a running standpoint. So overall, the Patriots just doing a really nice job of playing solid, aggressive defense. They got a ton of pressure on Bryce Young today. I believe they actually only came up with 1 sack on the day. However, that does not tell the story whatsoever. Very similar to last week, they only got the Rodgers 1 time. But just the amount of pressure that they had on these quarterbacks these past couple weeks is very encouraging. And it's allowed their defense to play strong on the back end. And it's going to help you, in particularly when you get your best defensive player, that of course being Christian Gonzalez on the back end. And he did a really nice job kind of shadowing Ted McMillan for the majority of the day. I believe that Ted McMillan only came up with 3 catches for the day. And like I said before, outside of Ted McMillan, the Panthers just do not have any playmakers on the offensive side of the ball to have any success. But, I mean, there just wasn't that much to take away from a defensive standpoint in this game. I think they just did what they had to do, really locked up the Panthers in the majority of their offensive sets. And that's just very encouraging. You only give up 6 points as a defense. That really shows that you dominated on the day. And yeah, the Panthers missed some plays, particularly a 4th down play to Ted McMillan that I think he had a couple of steps on Carlton Davis on. But it's just stuff like that where this defense has taken away the big plays that have really haunted them early on in the season and making offenses kind of grind out long drives against you. And in particular, with the pass rush that the Patriots have gotten, it becomes that much more difficult for these offenses to have these long drives when you're able to force some negative plays. And that's something that the Patriots have done a very nice job in terms of these past couple of weeks, whether it's in the run game or getting to the quarterback. So it's a very encouraging sign for this Patriots defense to be on the upturn, especially when you're getting guys back from the injury report. And in particular, I thought on the day, the defensive line, like I said before, only 1 sack on the day. Kayvon Chason and Milton Williams, I believe, both got credited with a half a sack. But Harold Landry had himself a couple of pressures. Milton Williams continues to be one of the better interior rushers across the NFL. That's why the Patriots got him. Christian Barmore is still ramping up, and I saw him get some earlier pressures and some run stuffs in today's game. Even Joshua Farmer had himself a nice run stuff there, and I see him getting more and more involved in the mix here. Tyrus Tonga had himself a nice batted ball at the line of scrimmage. So the rotation of this defensive line, they have a ton of playmakers, and it's really showing thus far in the early parts of this season. And just more and more depth that they have as well, having Farmer and Tonga in there, both having their specific roles, whether it's the run game or pass rush. It's really showing why this defensive line is so much improved off of last year. I mean, guys like Keon White and Anthony Jennings are in the second unit now compared to last year, where they were really in that first unit, and they both kind of struggle a little bit in terms of rushing the passer. So just having those guys as secondary pieces in terms of depth players and still allowing them to really tee off in terms of run support from a defensive line standpoint, it really just shows that much more depth that this Patriots defensive line has had thus far. And I think that's why they've been probably the best unit on this Patriots defense so far this season. So I'm very encouraged to really see if they're able to kind of keep up this performance, especially when you're getting guys back in the secondary who are going to be playing some real sticky coverage, which is going to allow this Patriots defensive line to get more and more pressure on the quarterback. Lastly here, I want to talk about the Patriots special teams because I really thought that they were the turning point in this game, particularly, of course, Marcus Jones and their special teams coverage. But the Patriots defense do a real nice job getting off the field on the second drive by the Carolina Panthers there. And after the offense 3 and out, the Patriots needed a little bit of a jump start. And guess who was there to provide that? Marcus Jones, your all-pro punt return specialist. And it was one of those odd returns where the punt returner actually caught the ball within their own 10-yard line, I believe, by Marcus Jones. And this is just one where you have to trust his judgment. And to be honest, I think it caught both the Panthers and the Patriots coverage a little bit snapping on the play. But Marcus Jones does a real nice job of identifying that and just doing what he does and really turning upfield. And once he got by that first wave, I mean, it really just shows how speed and how much of a playmaker he is on the special teams. But that was the turning point in the game right there. The Patriots, of course, go up 7-6 at that time. And from there, the defense started playing lockdown, all the stuff like that. And I believe Marcus Jones actually had 3 returns on the day for 167 yards, a 55.7 average. Of course, he had another 50-yard return, setting up a short Patriots field later in the game as well. So just a huge turning point in this game in particular. And the special teams has really been a highlight early season of this Patriots team. They played really good special teams coverage. And of course, they've had a kickoff return touchdown now and a punt return touchdown now. So Jeffrey Springer and the Patriots special teams quickly shooting up as one of the best special teams unit in the NFL thus far. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this breakdown here. The Patriots dominate all 3 phases of the game, and they got Buffalo coming up next week, Sunday Night Football in Buffalo. Maybe they can make some plays, shake up the NFL landscape a little bit here. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on what you thought of this game, and I'll check you all out in the next one.